So one weekend, I decided to model my own career like an LBO, and the answer kind of gave me a little shock at first. So every banker, every private equity guy, consultant, finance student learns what a leverage buyout model is. You buy an asset, and with time and some leverage and improvements, you exit for a return. We build these for a living. So one weekend, I decided I'm gonna put the same analysis on my career and on my life. And it really is the only asset you can own, which is your career. And the number it spat out bothered me for a little bit. The model doesn't care about the title, the prestige, or how impressive your job sounds at a reunion. It only cares about one thing. And that one thing is that the safe career path for most people in finance are on is a bad investment. So stay with me for now because this analogy is tighter than it sounds. In an LBO, you have four things: an entry, what you pay to get in; leverage, the debt you take on; operational improvements; and an exit, what you sell it for. You can map all of those into your career. So your entry is your first real job. That's the price of admission. Your leverage is your time because committing years to one path is exactly that, borrowing against your future to bet on a return now. The operational improvements are the skills, the reputation, the network you build, and your exit, this is the one no one really computes, is whatever you eventually convert all of that into. Ownership, freedom, a sale of your time for a higher multiple, or nothing, and you stay on the same path. Now, the part that bothered me is this. In an LBO, the headline number isn't profits, it's IRR. And that is return of your money over time, your rate of return. And an IRR has two properties most people forget. First, it's very sensitive to your hold period. A great company held forever produces a mediocre IRR because the returns get spread across too many years. Second, the return isn't realized until you exit. No exit, no return. You can own a fantastic asset for decades, still have cash compounding, but on paper, you've made nothing because you never sold. So hold on to that thought because it's the whole video. Time is the enemy of returns, and a return you never realize is not a return. Now, when you run a career in finance through the same logic, you kind of get this output. The default finance path optimizes cash flow. Bigger salary, bigger bonus, climbing every year, more prestige, more titles, more everything. It feels like winning because the cash flow is real and it is large. But cash flow is not the same thing as a return on the asset. And the difference between those two is the difference between being rich and the difference between being wealthy. So when you run the model, the successful finance career looks like this: a high cash flowing asset held for 30 to 40 years with no exit because you're selling your time the entire way and you never own the thing that produces value. In LBO terms, you are an incredible cash generating asset that never gets sold. And an asset that never gets sold has, by the model's own definition, a terrible IRR. You generate enormous cash flows for someone else's enterprise value. The reason almost no one sees this is that each rung of the ladder pays you in cash flow and prestige, both of which feel like progress and feel like success. Analyst, associate, VP, principal, partner, managing director, etc., etc. More money, more status, more everything, every step. So you never stop to notice that none of those steps, none of those promotions, none of those titles are an exit. They're just a longer hold on the same asset. You're just selling your time at a higher rate. And the longer you hold, the lower your life IRR goes. Exactly like a sensitivity grid. The path is engineered to feel like you're winning right up until you realize you optimized the wrong number for 30 years. You maxed out cash flow and wealth as an IRR game: entry, ownership, multiple, and exit. So what am I going to do with this? What do you actually do with this? The way to think about it is become more of an allocator of your career. Before every big decision, you ask the same three questions a PE firm asks before deploying a dollar. One, what is the return on this next year of my time? Not the cash flow, the return. Is this year building me an asset I could one day own and sell, or is it a higher paid extension of the hold? Two, does this decision move me towards an exit, or does it just extend the hold? A promotion that pays you more but locks you in for 3 to 4 more years can look like a gain, but can be a loss in the IRR terms. Three, build equity on your own, not just rent out your time at a higher rate. Because genuinely wealthy people and people who do control their time, their finances, their life, Every single one of those paths got wealthy from the equity, the carry, the ownership, the stake, the portion they own on the cap table, not the salary. Salary was just the cash flow along the way. And the asymmetry of this model makes it look obvious, obviously. The cheapest time to engineer an exit is early, when your hold period is still short and your handcuffs are still loose. Every year you wait, the exit gets harder and the IRR gets worse. The model doesn't reward patience on a no exit asset, it punishes. I'm not telling you to quit your job. I'm not telling me to quit your job. This model is an anti-finance. If you genuinely love the work and want to be a career investor, the long hold can be exactly right. You know, you could think of it more as an infrastructure fund. And I know this is a very finance analogy heavy video, but the trap is running the default path without ever asking what you are optimizing for. Most people I've seen in finance and I've seen in my life, they maximize cash flow and called it building wealth. They aren't the same number. One feels like winning every year, the other actually compounds, and one day gets sold. You need to decide which game you're playing on purpose with the model open, because, you know, before you know it, 30 years of hold quietly answers the question for you. Found this interesting. It was a little bit more of my thought process on things, career-wise, instead of just more life experience getting into these careers. Let me know if you guys like this. If you guys want to see something next, yeah, like, comment, and subscribe.